Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and I update daily. If you like this watch, you can purchase it on thewatchbox.com. Buy, trade, and sell luxury watches on thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the pink gold 250-piece limited edition Chopard L.U.C Tech Twist, a 2008 limited series watch with a sensational micro-rotor automatic and an open, multicolored, multi-textured, multi-layered dial that gives the watch exactly what the name implies, a highly technical aesthetic with a twist. It's an easy watch to wear on the wrist, 41 millimeters across the round of the case, not inclusive of the off-centered shear guard and crown. It's a relatively slim watch as well, as it sits only 10.2 millimeters above the wrist, this largely thanks to the micro-rotor automatic system, which is nice and flat. The domed bezel makes this an easy one to slip underneath any kind of a cuff. Lug to lug, it does have a fairly broad, though not oversized stance. 49 millimeters is a broad dress watch across the wrist, but you'll find it still wears well on wrists as small as about 14 centimeters in circumference. And the timepiece, should you wish to accessorize, has a standard 20 millimeter spacing between its lugs. Now the timepiece also has a wonderfully flat case back, so it creates no pressure points or hot spots, and the strap is able to move unconstrained. So you see I pull it down around the tight curve of my small wrist. There's no flare or fight to it. Even though the strap itself is quite substantial, you'll note it is a medium brown, large, non-rectangular scale alligator leather. We usually see rectangular scales, but this is a more natural scale pattern, and it's a better match perhaps for the small scale pattern on the underside, neither of them being rectangular, although the sheer cut flank of this thick and substantial strap definitely is a hard geometry in its own right. It's a nice match to the swell of the lugs. You can see how the thickness of the strap is perfectly matched in that regard. The buckle is a Chopard matching rose gold piece, as you can see, with a nice channel on the underside to grip the strap once it's buckled down, and attention to detail, assembly screws for ease of disassembly, as well as security when buckled closed. Now you'll note the case is relatively simple. It's flat, it's thin, and it's defined by the strong geometries of the lugs. The lugs have an unusual amount of prominence for a dress watch. Rather than being simply tapered, delicate teardrops, they have a sharp, hard geometry, and they terminate with substantial mass and shear. I like it. It's a more masculine look for a dress watch case. You'll also note it's entirely of high polish, and it feels appropriate to the watch, as it definitely has a standout personality, rather than the somewhat discreet and understated pieces available in the dress watch segment from Patek and Vacheron. This one's designed to stand out, though it's not garish so much as it's simply well keyed to the spirit of the watch. Now the polish contrasts with the satin metallic finish of the dial itself. If you look at the hour track of the watch, it almost looks like the vented rotor of a high-performance automobile, and that's no coincidence, as Carl Friedrich Schäufele, the principal of Chopard, head of the company and majority owner, is a race car driver and collector himself. The all-applied and beautifully arrayed radial style Arabic numerals are absolutely gorgeous, and I particularly love how they invert below the 3. Now the timepiece does feature visible base plate, which includes, and I'm going to move the hands off center here, includes the visibility of some of the components. The tri-lobe that you see at approximately 11 o'clock is part of the winding system, and as I turn the watch, you'll actually see it moves in its own right as it's keyed to the reduction system for the micro rotor. And then there is a visible motion works, which consists of the hour wheel, the minute wheel, and then the cannon pinion that forms the central axis of the hands. The hands themselves are a beautiful blued delta style, and there will be a lume shot at the end. You can see as I move them away from the aperture, framing both the date and constant seconds, and by the way, constant seconds on this watch, nicely skeletonized. This is a watch with immense complexity of layer, of texture, of color, and you'll note that the aperture itself has a polished chapter ring with the hash marks for the seconds and is fixed by bolts FP Journe style. You'll also note a number of different finishes, first Côte de Genève, and second a satin finish applied to the components of the center dial, which is in fact the base plate of the watch, up to and including violet pivot stones. You will note a couple of features of the watch. First, hacking seconds. You can set this watch precisely to a reference time. And if you look just underneath, let me just roll it through the midnight, make sure we're not in the danger zone for the date. But if you look at the wheel itself for the date, you'll also note that it features a quick set function, and it alternates between odd white numerals and red evens. Thoughtfully designed, even in microcosm. Now, the crown apparatus is designed for security. You can see the louis-ulysse Chopard marquee on the crown. It's a little bit of an off-centered sports-style profile. If you've seen Grand Seiko divers, they're often profiled exactly like this. So this watch has a little bit of a sports watch flair, even in its case layout. The movement, and I'll get as close as I can here, is a big part of what you pay for when you buy a manufacturer movement Chopard. So the L.U.C collection launched in 1997 with the 196 micro-rotor caliber, which was designed in conjunction with Michel Parmigiani. L.U.C, the mark for in-house caliber Chopard watches, 22-karat white gold micro-rotor winding mass, adjusted in a chronometer-like 5 positions. It is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It features a 65-hour power reserve, and you'll note the barrels underneath their barrel bridge nicely arrayed with a relatively open and visible movement architecture, as it's easy to see the perlage of the base plate. To glance into the drivetrain, the going train of the watch, you can easily see the pallet and the escape wheel. It's visible, it's open, and because of the micro-rotor, you have the full benefit of seeing everything for which you've paid. The 29 pivot jewels, the micro-rotor, the barrel, the train, and of course the balance and the escapement. That's the beauty of a micro-rotor. You get the open case back of a manual with the convenience of an automatic and the slim profile of a manual. This is a watch that has manifold virtues. Anything but the ordinary Swiss dress watch. This is the antidote to the common dress timepiece. You can see it, and you can throw it on your wrist on the watch box. Automatic winding, avant-garde style, and even fully loomed. This is a versatile watch. This is the L.U. Chopard, the L.U.C Tech Twist, beating away at 28,800 vibrations per hour in the dark. See it and make it yours on the watch box.